Hello, everybody. So I've said it time and time again. The government want to control social media. We've seen this time and time. They've basically said it themselves that social media people have too much say in social media. They have too much free speech. Have too much time to think. As the Irish government, so we have to censor. We'd have to shut you up because you're not listening to RT, and they hate that. They hate the way nobody listens to RT anymore. So we have to shut you forcefully up with the hate speech. But now we see what Stephen Donnelly is saying and what the government have been saying a long time. They want people to have passports to go online, etc., etc. And it's all about just trying to shut people up and censoring people and trying to forfeit people's right to speak freely online, etc., etc. And now I do agree, now don't get me wrong on this bit, that young people, particularly people under 18, are spending far too much time on social media. I will agree with that. I'm not going to lie to you on that. That far too many young people have their head stuck on the phone and not living the world around them, basically. They're not seeing reality, what's around them, the beautiful countrysides, etc., etc. People have their heads stuck on their phones and not engage in talking to people. I agree with that. I generally do agree with that. I understand that. I get that. And it's harmful to young people. I understand that being excessive on social media, seeing stuff probably you shouldn't be seeing, particularly if you're a young person. We all seen it when we were younger too. We can all agree on that. There's some harmful things out there for young people, but at the same time, not only would banning under 16s for using social media would be a logistical nightmare, and God Shinna Connor, as we speak, are going around to people's houses if you misgender somebody. They're too busy worrying about that. The Gaudi are busy running around after people just dare misgendering somebody, calling somebody a different gender, misgender. And then obviously when the hate speech goes on, to be fucking all the time on the road, to be running around after people, and then people stabbing each other. And there's no such thing as that. There'll be no prosecutions, because at the end of the day, the state's more worried about thought crime than they are about fighting real crime. Like literally burglaries have gone up, stabbings have gone up, murders have gone up, but we have to get the person that's misgendering somebody, because we'll send the whole Gardaí after that person, the Gardaí, the Gestapo, etc., etc. But long story short, I agree in a certain way that it's bad. But at the end of the day, I don't think we should outline, but it's up to the parents. At the end of the day, when you're under 18 or you're 16, take plus 7, you're 18, you're not technically an adult. At the end of the day, it's up to the parents, to the mothers and fathers out there. There's no in between, but it's up to them basically to say to the child, look, a few hours a day is good enough to be on social media, etc., etc. We can all agree on that. But at the end of the day, the government, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, the government has no right to say we're going to do this. That's North Korea. That's China. That's not democracy. That's not freedom. What we stand for in the West. And Ireland is, as we see, is going down a very dark path with the hate speech, to what ban people for what they say. What I'm saying here, they're criticising Stephen Donnelly type or Simon Harris type, for example. You can't even dare criticise them if they pass this hate speech bill, because they would just wage your house with 50 Gaudi. That's what they want. They want the totalitarian state. They don't want free speech. They don't believe in it. They hate our country, and it's simple as that. And it's the truth. It's the truth. Never have they shown they hate the country. All the things they've done shown that they don't care what people think. We see with the immigration situation at the moment, and there's nobody being listened to at all. They're just going with their own narrative, whatever the World Economic Forum, etc., etc., says. But this is the thing. As I say, it's up to the parents at the end of the day, if you have a child, to say, look, you can use your phone for 3 hours or 4 hours a day, but after that, you have to take a bit of a breather, enjoy life, touch grass, as they would say. But at the end of the day, it's up to the parents, and it's up to the person themselves, if they wish. And I know it's so hard nowadays in social media, we're all so connected, etc. So that's the main thing, I suppose, too, to bring up, that I'm not saying anti-government this, anti-government that, but I don't think Stephen Donnelly, or even any minister in the government, has the right to go and say, look, this is the way it's going to be done, and if you don't like it, we're going to send 50 Gaudi after you. But if somebody gets stabbed on the road, we'll know where to be found. And the same with real crime happens in this country, the Gaudi know where to be found. And then if you dare, go against the establishment anyway, say anything negative against the establishment, the Gaudi turn up. In very big numbers. I was seeing Newtown, Mount Kennedy, the Gaudi just miraculously appear. But when something happens down the town, there's nowhere to be found. But yeah, long story short, I agree with one of the concepts that people are spending too much time on social media, young people particularly, under 18s, and it's harmful. Some stuff is harmful, they're seeing, etc., etc. There's some bullying, etc. I'm not going to argue with that. That's the truth. It's the reality. We can't be denying that bit. But at the same time, it's up to the parents. It's not up to the government to come into your house and tell you what to do and how to do it. That's not democracy. That's not freedom. That's what they do in China. They limit the hours that people can spend on social media because the Communist Party says so. And unless we're going to become, with the totally honest, we're on the way to become a communist dictatorship. So we might go all full at this stage. But what I'm trying to say is, in the West, until that day comes where they suspend elections, etc., etc., and pass this hate speech bill, etc., etc., people are entitled to think freely. They're entitled to do what they want. It is a democracy. It's a free society. People can choose what they do. It's not up to the government to tell you advice on what to do. To be totally honest, maybe in schools, it would have been known before they wanted to ban phones in primary. They have banned it at primary school and in secondary school. I understand in primary school, I will admit that, because they are a bit too young. Junior infants literally getting phones. And that's another thing, junior infants getting phones. When I was in primary school, I got my phone when I was in 5th class, and I didn't use that much until I was in 6th class. So basically it wasn't until secondary school, and that was only a flip phone. It wasn't until secondary school to first year that I got the internet, a phone with the internet on it. And that sounds madness nowadays, because young people are getting the phones at 4 or 5. It's insane. It's genuinely insane. And they're not, like, they're all fully connected to the internet, etc. There's concerns about that, of course. But, it's an entirely different world from then. I grew up. But at the end of the day, as I say, it's different in the school or in a college. It's a public building. It's a public building. It's a school building. At the end of the day, what you're there to do is to learn and to study, etc., etc. And obviously, being on the phone when you're in class, learning about history or learning about maths or whatever, is not productive. Let's put it out. It can be productive in some ways if you're literally looking up a subject. Take, for example, if you're looking up a subject in history and you're looking up details on it for your history project or whatever. That's understandable, maybe, if you're actively doing something. But not not listening to the teacher, etc., etc. Now I know when I was at school, I would love to just jump out the window at some stages, listen to the teachers, but at the end of the day, it is beneficial to learn as much as you can. But obviously being on the phone is not productive in classes, the majority of classes, unless you actively engage on the phone with the subject that's involved. Unless you're using your phone for a calculator, maybe, but there's calculators nowadays, would you believe it? But yeah, I don't think Stephen Donnelly should be going into somebody's house and telling them what to do and how to raise their children, etc., etc. But I would say to parents, and I would advise not demand, like the way the government said, we're going to demand that you do this. That shouldn't be the way. We should encourage parents, of course, to say, look, spend a bit of time, touch grass, go outside for a while, enjoy your life, go on a picnic, go out for a picnic, go out for a day out somewhere, etc., etc. Enjoy life, because we won't, at the end of the day, and I know this is negative kind of for a lot of people, but at the end of the day, we only are here on a holiday. Like on Earth, we're only here on a holiday, and it's important to enjoy the moment. And I think too much in life, we're too busy on our phones and just not engaging in the moment in life. And I do take the young generation particularly, and especially even my generation too, is getting like that. But it's important just to switch off for a few hours, of course. It's always necessary to do it, especially with, and again, the one thing I didn't mention was all this information for young people. It's too much on the young person's brain, because your brain doesn't really fully develop until you're nearly 30, 31, etc., etc. It's a lot of information. You look at, take for example, Snapchat, all the Snapchats going on, etc., etc., Facebook. There's too much information, too much different subjects, even for a person of my age. It's too much information to take into process, to process it through your head. Nobody can lie about that. It's the truth. It's far too much information nowadays about every topic in the country that you see at the touch of a button, and it's far too much to take in. And then to take in about life in general, it's far too much. But as I say, Stephen Donnelly shouldn't be telling people what to do in their own private houses. If he wants to do something, he can look after his own family. But he shouldn't say to people what they should. And if it's about one more thing, if it's about people's health, I would love to know, to Stephen Donnelly, why there's so many young people waiting for mental health services in this country. We'd love to know if they care about your health, because that doesn't seem to be too busy worrying about your health. And there was a young lassie that had to go to another country for an operation because she was waiting 4 years for an operation here. So if they care about people's health, young people's health, explain that to me. Explain that to me, because that doesn't show that you care. That just shows that you're, what's a mad agenda, that you want them just to listen to OT, to be listened to OT ways by OT, etc., etc. Thank you.